Long before the world had walls, concrete, or electricity, there existed a village so ancient, even its name has vanished. It stood hidden deep within a forest where maps never reached and roads never led. In this place, people didn't sleep in beds or on floors. They climbed into the trees like birds, curling into branches for warmth and safety. When night fell, they didn't use flashlights or torches. They hunted with fire. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching The Forgotten Path, where we uncover what the world tried to leave behind. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because this is a story of survival, simplicity, and secrets buried in the roots of history. Our journey begins where many have gone before, to India. But not just anywhere. We're trekking to the state of Chhattisgarh, a place known for ancient cave paintings and relics from a time when humans lived alongside dinosaurs. Deeper in the jungle, we go to a quiet village called Lohandaguda. It might look ordinary now, but its name holds echoes of the past. The word Lohan means forest, and Daguda, well, nobody knows what that means. But it doesn't matter because there's a secret here, something the earth has been hiding since the 18th century, and we're going to find it. You see, centuries ago, traders traveling these parts recorded something odd. They spoke of a tribe living deep in the trees, a community untouched by the outside world. According to them, these people built their homes on stilts, slept curled in branches, and chased animals with flames. Some dismissed their stories as tall tales. Others thought, well, there can't be people living in trees. But here's the thing. In 1790, a British cartographer named Alexander Fordy stumbled upon this hidden village while surveying the area. He noted the curious sight of houses constructed not of bricks and mortar, but of wood and vines raised high above the ground. And he wasn't the only one. A decade later, another explorer, J.G. McCrory, encountered the same village, and he heard their language sounded like this. Unfortunately, no one bothered to record what the language actually meant. Now fast forward over 2 centuries, or in 2014, the world is full of buzzing phones, roaring highways, and shopping malls filled with treasures. And here we are about to venture into a forest where cell phone signals cut out and time seems to slow down. As we push deeper into the green, there's a feeling of being watched. Monkeys chatter from the canopy, birds call out, and then we see them, mysterious structures hugging the trees. At first they look like fallen tree houses, but they're not. They're much older. These aren't remnants of some modern adventure park. They're carefully made platforms woven from long, tough vines and coated with layers of bark. They're strong. I can stand right in the middle. Now, here's the fascinating part. Every tree has markings, little details left behind by the people who lived here a long time ago. There are charcoal smudges, which may seem random, but when you look closely, you start to see patterns. There are lines, dots, and shapes. Some resemble animals. Others look like plants or maybe body parts. And all around the edges, there are handprints pressed into the bark. We found something incredible. Evidence of a life completely different from ours. But who lived here? How did they get up in these trees? And why did they make these drawings? As we continue our exploration, we come across something that gives us a big clue. Scattered all over the forest floor, we find bones. Not just any bones, the bones of predators, wolves, leopards, jackals, animals that hunt and kill for food. But take a closer look at the bones. Many are broken, not from fights, but from arrows. The people of this village were constantly under threat. And to survive, they did something amazing. They created villages in the sky, places where jaguars couldn't reach and wolves couldn't bite. Now, you might be thinking this sounds impossible. How could anyone build homes in trees without ladders or cranes? But think about this. These people lived among trees. They knew their strengths and weaknesses. They used long, sturdy vines that could hold heavy weights without breaking. They wove them together with the bark of trees, making them even stronger. Then they would put large rocks on top to keep everything in place. All this takes skill and knowledge passed down from parents to children. Over generations, they perfected their craft, building platforms strong enough to sleep on. Imagine lying down in a cozy nest of leaves, looking up at the dancing fireflies, and listening to the wind whispering through the trees. It must have been peaceful, except for one tiny detail. It would also be freezing cold. See, the people of this village lived during the Ice Age. They needed to stay warm, so what did? They brought their hearths with them, little fires in small clay pots. Before going to bed, they placed those pots in the center of their treetop homes, keeping themselves warm with the help of 3 stones. Just imagine that. A fire dancing in the darkness, casting flickering shadows on the faces of the people huddled around it. It's clear that life here wasn't easy. Every day was filled with challenges: finding food, protecting yourself from wild animals, and keeping your home secure. But despite the hardships, these people had a unique connection with nature. They understood the rhythms of the forest, the habits of animals, and the healing power of plants. They knew how to live in harmony with the world around them. But that's not all. They had a special love for trees. They believed each tree had a spirit, like an old wise man watching over them. They respected trees so much that when someone died, they didn't bury them. Instead, they carried their loved ones to the tallest tree in their village and sprinkled their ashes in the highest branches, turning them to the place that gave them life. Their skills went beyond building treetop homes. They were also experts at hunting. They didn't chase animals or waste their energy. They waited patiently and struck when the time was right. During the day, they lit small fires and carefully spread them across dry patches of grass. This created patches of burnt land. Animals panicked, running away from the flames. But they didn't run randomly. They ran toward open fields where traps waited. The people of this village were geniuses. They didn't waste a single arrow. They let the fire do the hard work, bringing animals right to their traps. Now, you might be wondering, why don't we learn more about this amazing way of life? Unfortunately, that's where the story gets a bit sad. Their world was simple, smoke-scented, and deeply spiritual, filled with the wisdom of the trees. But the world kept spinning. Storms came, traders passed, forests were cut, and little by little, this village vanished. By the 19th century, most of them were gone. Only a few families remained, clinging to their traditions until the end. Then, one day, they too disappeared, leaving behind only stories passed in whispers by nearby tribes. That was until a drone survey for a mining company revealed the strange patterns in the trees. Platforms still clinging to branches after decades, fire pits turned to ash rings in the soil, and charred handprints on the bark of the tallest trees. It was a lucky break, an accident that led to the discovery of a lost way of life. For a moment, we can see what life was like, how people survived and thrived in one of the most unusual ways imaginable. They built their lives high above the ground, in the heart of the forest, where trees became their homes and fire became their guide. So what's the secret of this ancient village? It's the realization that they weren't wiped out by conflict or disaster. They simply dissolved, absorbed by the rhythm of nature. As we sit here, surrounded by trees, listening to the wind rustling through their leaves, we feel a deep connection to the people who lived here. They showed us that it's possible to live in harmony with nature, respecting the balance of the forest and the wisdom of the trees. Their story raises questions. Why do we forget such important parts of our history? Why do we allow ancient cultures and their wisdom to fade away? Most importantly, what can we learn from the people who lived in the trees? What do you think? What can we learn from the villagers? And do you know of other ancient practices that we should explore? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you liked this video, show us by hitting the like button. Don't forget to share it, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Until next time.